Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I was going to make a joke about cheese, but I better stay mature.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Clearcut, which released in 1991, based on the novel by M.T. Kelly, with a screenplay by Robert Forsyth and directed by Ryszard Bugajski. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows Peter Maguire, a lawyer who's been asked by some Native Americans to help them with a case against Bud Ricketts, played by Michael Hogan. Bud Ricketts is a mill owner who has encroached onto the land of the native people and has started cutting down their trees. While Peter is trying to battle the case, along comes Arthur, played by Greene, who is willing on using action to be heard over the talking.
Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. That's tradition.
So this is a film that we kind of had on our to-do list for a little while, and saw that Greene was in it. I was like, big fan of his, his work, and then we were very sad to hear of his passing. So I was like, Ian, we're jumping Clearcut right up to the top of the list, and we're doing it now. Now, this is a film that I'd never really even heard of.
No, first for
I
me.
was quite surprised to see the rest of the cast in this film as well. I recognize those faces. But this was a director I didn't really know that much of either, and realized that he had fled Poland after his film Interrogation, and then ended up in Canada. And this actually marks his first English-speaking film.
Wow. Yeah, like you said, never heard of it before, but obviously when you have a face like Greene slapped on the poster, you're just like, okay, this has got to be some kind of standout performance. Because I mean, I know of Greene in certain films. I couldn't off the top of my head tell you like many of them, but Die Hard with a Vengeance, he plays a cop in that, and he's really, really great because he has this great back and forth with McClane, which then fleshes out McClane a bit more and makes this Die Hard movie not just a third in the series. It actually gives it something. So like Gary said, when I saw that Greene was in this, I was just like, oh, okay, this is going to be good. It's questionable your perspective of good. Gary and I were talking about this before we turned the camera on, and we both have kind of different viewpoints to the story, but we kind of agree on certain things of what the film is trying to tell us. Like we're starting off with Peter Maguire, played by Ron Leah, who's this lawyer, and he's flying towards this. I couldn't work out if it was an island or if it was just like a larger bit of land, because you've got to fly there, and there's a lot of boat journeys as well. And I'm like, how big is this fucking place?
Yeah, Canada's pretty big.
Well, yeah, I know Canada is, but like this is like I said, this is 1991. They have roads and cars and stuff. He's got to fly to where he's got to go, and you get this really great perspective of something in the water watching the plane land. So you're like, oh, what's that all about? But then, Peter lands and he starts making his way to where the loggers are, and you've got the local indigenous people, the Native Americans, just trying to protest against these guys cutting down the trees.
Well, they were protesting, but of course things do escalate into violence because, well, the bulldozers are coming in, the trees are coming down, the chainsaws are going.
Yeah.
And for these people, it's like, it's their homes, it's their homeland, it's the place they've been raised, it's the place they've known.
Yeah.
And it's now just being disrupted and destroyed. And they're not going to necessarily see the gains from it.
No.
And we also find out that Michael Hogan, who plays Bud Ricketts, who is the owner of the factory or the mill that's churning over all this wood in order to create this new town. He's the one who's responsible, but Peter Maguire is also yelling at him that he's doing things, he's corrupt, that he's not doing things officially.
Yeah.
And he's also there to go and meet with Wilf, and to explain to him, like, yeah, I'm sorry, we lost the court battle.
Yeah.
They have permission to go and do this, but don't worry, I'm just going to go fly back to Canada and appeal it. I'll be back.
Yeah. Floyd Red Crow Westerman. Did you recognize him, the guy who played Will?
Yes, yeah.
Man, I will always recognize that old man from those 3 episodes of X-Files. You know, I don't know he's been in a bunch of films and stuff like that, but you know, when he's there talking to Mulder about the bodies in the train car and the land stuff, I think, you know, I'd seen things leading up to that point about, you know, the encroaching of the white man on the Native American land and stuff like that. And I'll just get out of the way now. Personally, I hate everything that the white man has done in the world to just go over and just...
That's mine now.
Yeah, just take from everybody and destroy land and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm a realist as well, and I understand that this is the human way. You know, humans do this. They move from area to area.
They colonize.
They colonize. And it's not just the white man. You know, many other different tribes or peoples around the world have all done this. But the moment you start to bring in violence, the moment you start to bring in, you know, like we said, with the police officers at the protesting and stuff like that, you know, the film is highlighting that some of these policemen are kind of enjoying their job a little bit too much to beat on some of the guys that they are thinking are a threat. And in a way, those guys are a threat because they're willing on hurting people to stop them from cutting down the trees.
Because it's almost a last stand. You know, they've been evicted from their land, given new territory, and then evicted from their land and given new territory. Their burial grounds have been taken away. Their homes been taken away. And they are trying to be pacifist. They are not wanting to fight back. They have a lawyer that's doing the verbal fighting for them.
Yeah.
And that becomes a bit of a second thread throughout this film, is the ineptitude of this lawyer in terms of him. We never actually see him fighting for their cause. No. We just hear him say that he's fighting for their cause.
Yeah.
He believes that he is a man of their people. He thinks that they're his friends. He tells everyone as such.
Yeah.
But we never really get to see the bond of friendship there. He just assumes that because he's defending them, he's their friend now.
Yeah.
And so he comes across fairly spineless.
Yes. Yeah, I would totally say that. Like Peter Maguire, you know, his character is so weak. You know, he's just willing on being pushed over. Like, we've got the other lawyer as well who's working with Bud Ricketts, isn't he? You know, this other lawyer who's obviously got all the money in the flashy car and all the backup and stuff like that. And he's saying to Peter, like, what are you doing here? You can't be here. This is completely unprofessional. But
well, it's because the other reporter drove him, was taking him to the airport, but then went, nah, actually I'm going to go take you to confront him now.
Yeah. And it's just that moment where you first kind of see it with Peter, where it's just like, come on, you got to do something. You've got to try and help stand up. But he doesn't. But in the background, you keep seeing Arthur, Graham Greene's character, who is ominous. Like, you feel like there's something going on with him. And I love the idea of the sweat lodge.
Right.
Like, I love a good sweating as well as anybody else, but it's where Wilf's just like, yeah, you've got to see the vision inside you. And I'm like, man, when you're fucking sweating your tits off in a lodge, you'll see fucking Santa Claus telling you need to save the world. Doesn't mean you really should.
Well, it gives him a vision, a dream quest, or an enlightenment, and it's supposed to help him explore what his issue is. And he starts screaming and yelling, and so basically,
it's pretty trippy.
Well, yeah, and so it's basically his rage, his frustration, and I guess that is the way the film is trying to align you sympathetically towards the natives that are having their land taken away. And so we're seeing this lawyer who is our protagonist, and his rage at not being able to defend these people. But that is on a level. The level below that is of the Native Americans' real rage that they are trying to be pacifists and they are just being pushed and pushed and pushed. And so that rage has now been has been lit inside of Peter, and to make sure that continues, Arthur's there to show him the way.
Yeah.
You know, the white man makes me laugh with his writing.
Well, the earlier Ron didn't laugh. They thought writing was magic.
Is that a fact?
Now, the movie does kind of make it a little bit vague, really, of what Arthur is. Like, if he's real or if he's a spiritual ancestor come back from the dead. Is he the fucking spirits of the trees that have been cut down turned into a human body. We're not entirely sure. Like you get that moment where you've got Arthur, you've got Wilf, and you've got Peter getting into the boat, don't you? And you have this great kind of back and forth between Graham Greene and Ron Leo where Arthur is kind of antagonizing him.
Oh, yeah.
Flicking water into his face and giving him some kind of back talk.
He's challenging him, and again, seeing if this guy has got any comeback, any spine.
Yeah, but in a way, Peter doesn't need to fight him. Yes, okay, talking doesn't always get things done. But pissing somebody off and getting them to attack you, I don't think works either.
Well, it was like he was trying to see what kind of measure of a man he was, where he's just like, what do you do? Or you're the man who talks. Well, what have you done for me now?
Yeah, exactly.
And then when they're in the boat, he's just like, he starts talking about oral traditions, and Peter's just like, oh, I know all about that. And he's like, do you? And he's like, yeah, I read it in books. And he's like, oh, literature. So you think you know me because you read some books.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah. And then he bites the head off a snake.
Yeah.
Was that a real snake?
Well,
he did really fucking bite the head
so.
off. I fucking hope. But
it's the same as the spider that he eats later.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's from the Comanche tribe. It's like he is an embodiment of all of these different, like folklorish or stories or things from the Native Americans that have all been embodied in Arthur.
Yeah. And you get this great moment at the motel where Peter hasn't gone back to his office. He's wanting to stay around a few more days, try to help out and things like that. And the neighbors are playing music really loud.
It's another great example of how spineless and demasculated he is, because he starts shouting but not loud enough for them to hear. Well, I mean, then he punches the wall, but
hurts his hand,
in such a weak way. It didn't make any sound. But then he hurt himself.
That's it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I put myself in that same position. There's a bunch of people next door. Do I really want to go and fight 4 people just for them to get the
But
volume
he's also
turned
not
down?
even using his words. He's completely just backed down and accepted his station.
Yeah. He's just like, okay, I'll just leave it to it. And all of a sudden, Arthur's there.
Yeah, it's like he's been summoned by his anger.
Yeah. Or stalking
Or is he stalking him?
Or stalking him.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The movie is very vague on those things. I think, you remember in Wolfen where they always had the wolf eyes and things like that? I think I would have liked that for a bit, to know that, Arthur is following him. He's this spirit.
It's funny you should say that, because this film did remind me of Wolfen, but I'd never really liked Wolfen.
No.
I got quite into this because there was lots of things happening on sort of lots of different levels, but I was like, maybe the film's just being ambiguous. But then I started to get all these, like, I was like more aligned to obviously following Peter as the white guy who's trying to do good, and I'm like, but then the film starts tearing strips off him. It's like it's mocking the white savior character type, and breaking it down. Like, we don't need you, white savior man, here. Plus, you're pathetic, and I'm going to tear you down and show you, or kind of like a Tyler Durden-esque thing, raise you up and give you a balance.
That's the thing, yeah. It's like you said, it's just like, do we show the world, the white man is the problem, or do we actually try to go, oh, hold on a minute, if we can make you understand from the other person's perspective, the Native Americans, maybe you'll become a bit more empathic and you'll be wanting to actually stand with them to stop this destruction.
Exactly, and that's why he's like, okay, we'll use our words. I'll take you next door to these noisy neighbors and confront them like you've been confronting the corporations that have been destroying my forest. So show me how you do it.
Yeah, and it fails. Arthur's got to go in there with a knife and tape.
He starts duct taping them up.
I know, and I was just like, okay, this is the part for me where I get what Arthur is trying to say. I get that we're massively understanding that Peter is a massive fucking wimp. No offense to wimps out there, a lot of us are.
I support pacifism too.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, taping up 3 people, with a knife, and even implying that you're willing on killing them, it's like, all right, Arthur, you've got to draw the line somewhere. And so then he convinces Peter to help him go and kidnap Bud Ricketts.
Well, that's because earlier in the film, jokingly, Peter was like, well, what do we do? I guess we'll go and blow up the mill and capture Ricketts and skin him alive.
Yeah.
And Arthur's just like,
That's
And
a
now
good
he's
idea.
like, now let's go and do it.
Yeah,
And catch him at the petrol
they
station.
do. He's
Drives
like,
right into
waiting.
his car, and then before you know it, he's been duct taped, and they're dragging him onto the boat. And I was like, how
Man.
did nobody see this?
Don't worry about it. Just get yourself out of here quick.
Don't worry about my car. Look what he did to my car. You bird brain. Where'd you get your license? In a chip bag, you jerk? You beetle brain jerk? What the hell are you doing? McGuire, what the hell's going on here?
I think this is actually the first movie I've ever seen Michael Hogan in. Like, I've watched Battlestar Galactica, like, you wouldn't fucking believe. Like, soul tie all the fucking way. But this was the first time I've seen him in a film with a mustache, you know, and he's playing the bad guy, but at the same time, like I said, perspective. You're like, he really does defend his actions in a way that I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying.
But he comes across as a racist, arrogant, smug arsehole.
yeah, okay,
And he is all those things.
and that is well written by the director, by the writers, to create this character, to make the balance. But the moment they've captured him and they start taking him out to like I said, the island or this other part of the forest, I don't know how big this place is, to hold him hostage, I'm like, what ultimately is the end goal here? You know, because ultimately you're going to get in trouble with the police, and the lawyers are going to get even more involved, and there's going to be a hell of a lot more talking, and it's actually not going to stop the trees from being cut down, because once the courts say it's okay to do it because you attacked this fucking innocent mill owner, they're just going to go out the way. And like I said, reflecting back where Arthur is the embodiment of Peter's rage, you know, and wanting to lash out and be undemasculated.
It's not just his rage, it's the rage of the Native Americans collectively, like, embodied in Arthur.
Yeah, but by killing Ricketts, it still doesn't do anything.
I mean, we don't know if that is his intention. He
implies it.
He implies it, but he hasn't killed him.
No, that's the thing.
That's the thing. So you're like, what's going on? And that's because when he put them both in the boat,
Yeah.
I actually expected Arthur to push them off and be like, right, you two go and fucking discuss this now.
I was surprised
But he
he
got in the
taped up-
boat with them. But yeah,
Yeah, I was surprised he taped up Maguire. And so I'm like, okay, so now Maguire can actually say, I was not really along with it. I was taken
I was
hostage
prisoner too. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just a great view, the three of them, Graham Greene, Michael Hogan, and Ron Leo, with their characters of all of three of their perspectives. And it was one of the things that I really did love about the film, because we have a lot of situations in the world and things like that. There are multiple viewpoints, multiple perspectives, multiple people believe that they're right or wrong with things like that. And on screen, we've just got these three characters. One could be a mythical fucking figure. One's a spineless guy, and one's a corrupt fucking mill owner. It's just like, epic. Let's go.
Yeah. Now, throughout this, it would appear to me as that Arthur is trying to get Bud Ricketts to look and see and appreciate the scenery,
Yeah.
the landscape,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mountains, the waterfalls,
Yeah.
the forest, everything. But whenever he asks him, what do you see? He's like, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
It's like he is blind to the natural beauty, and that is one thing that Arthur is trying to instill in him, and completely fails. He doesn't get through to him either.
Yeah, yeah.
On that level, and at the same time, he's also challenging Peter to man up and confront Arthur. Now he gives him opportunities.
Gives him,
But Peter just hasn't got it in him, like, to pick up the knife and fight back, or to pick up the rifle and fight back. And there's a moment when they're tied up and there's a gunshot and they duck for cover. For whatever reason, Arthur's out of the scene.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh, there's some people over there. Go.
Yeah, the
you're not tied up.
hunters.
Go and get the hunters. And
Hunters.
And Peter goes running over there and he's like, look, I've been kidnapped. There's another guy over there. Please get us to your boat. Get us out of here. And the hunter's like, what in the world is this?
Yeah.
And that is when Arthur turns up again and starts confronting the hunters. And he's like, no, this is Indian land.
Yeah, you shouldn't be here. This is illegal. You shouldn't be hunting. And you realize that, the hunters are in the wrong. I mean, I loved how that sequence, and I suppose I didn't love how it ended, but the fact that they were talking about tracking this moose and they didn't know where it went, and there's all these things, and then the hunters are obviously confronted by Arthur, and Arthur's willing on just killing them there because obviously he's got these two guys that he wants to keep kidnapped. But the dialogue is just enough to convince the hunter to get the fuck out of there, and he starts pulling out the money, and he's throwing all the money at Arthur, and Arthur takes the money, which I'm just like, should he be taking the money? Is that just kind of him taking the money? Is that just showing how corrupt Arthur is as well, that he's willing on doing it for this? But when it slides back as they go back to where they were, and you pass the moose, and there's a moose lying there with a bullet wound, and it is dying. I'm like, you fuckers, you fucking assholes, kill the fucking hunters. Yeah, fucking take those guys down.
But then we also see that it wasn't a money thing, as he throws the money at Bud.
Yes,
like, I don't need that. I don't want that. That's in your face with your money. Your money is not going to buy the things that I want. That's here right now that you're sat in.
Yeah.
You think you know what I think. You think you know me. Well, fuck you.
And like you said, that moment where he's gotten him to look at the horizon and things like that. I mean, this is after Peter has woken up and seen the position of Arthur kind of reflects back to the vision that he was having in the sweat lodge. And Arthur is skinning Bud's leg.
This is graphic, and we definitely can't show some of this because the gore was surprising.
But it was only a little bit. Like, he was only doing the small bit of his leg, but he was doing it just enough to be like, oh, this is how the trees feel. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Things like that. And from that point on, Bud is suffering. He's just suffering from this wound. He's going into shock. He's been out for a couple of days. And
that's where I applaud the film again. I'm like, I'm actually sympathizing right now to the film's villain.
Yeah.
But no, now Arthur, you're like, you've crossed the line, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
but trying to get Bud to look at the horizon and go, what do you see? And Bud's like,
I want soup.
I'm like, you should have done this before you skinned his leg. And maybe even then had the film explain to us what Arthur really is. Like, I'm sure both Peter and Bud would have completely changed their perspectives on the entire world if Arthur had gone, oh yes, I'm a magical spirit who's really not alive. But the movie was also trying to maintain a very, very strong hint of realism.
Oh yeah.
You know, to the point where you're fully questioning what Arthur is. Is he real? Is he in their heads? And things like that. The police officers turn up. God knows how the fuck they found them.
Yeah, I guess where they're just going across the lake, you know.
Yeah, they must be on a search, a manhunt, you know, because
like Bud's gone missing for a day or two now, and
so they've got
he's
to find
a big figure. And so they find them, but again, Arthur's disappeared.
Arthur's missing again.
And they also go to arrest Peter as well. They're like, you're the one who's clearly abducted him. You're the only other guy here.
Yeah.
But then, boom, out of nowhere, police shot in the head. Down he goes.
Yeah.
And then the other one is also shot in the chest and goes down. And eventually, well, he gets bludgeoned with
the Native American tool that he had.
I don't know what the word is for it, but yeah.
That's it. He was going to use it in the hotel, and Peter was like, no. But now he actually uses it to kill one of the police officers. And once again, you're like, you want to be supportive to Arthur, to his cause. But from my perspective, once again, the police officers were just doing their job. You know, I understand people have views on what police are like around the world and stuff. But these guys, they had families. They possibly had children and stuff like that. They've come out to rescue these guys, and boom, now the 2 officers dead. How's that going to stop the forests from being cut down? It's just going to bring more cops.
Well, that's the thing with rage and anger, you know.
it's not very good.
It's pretty destructive.
It is.
But that's what happens when you push people too far. And that's what this film is, you know, is exploring.
Yeah, but then, like I said, it's the same situation when Wilf is there. You know, Wilf does nothing to stop Arthur, but he also does nothing to support him. Mm-hmm. He literally goes,
just remains impartial almost. Yeah.
Arthur is a force on his own, which then makes you go, well, hold on a minute. You know, if you're impartial, if you're just allowing this guy to do this stuff, and you have no standing of if it's right or wrong, then where is your then how do you maintain your position to dictate to people what you do think is right or wrong? You can't. You're going to allow this man, or this spirit, or whatever the fuck he is, to kill these 2 police officers and kidnap these 2 other guys for no ultimate goal anyway. I question what they were doing with the Wilf character. You know, I kind of wish, like I said, I wish the movie had explained a little bit more what Arthur was, what he was going for, and Wilf would have been that conduit.
Playing on the whole supernatural-ish angle that the film hints at as well. I don't know if Wilf even turned up there or not physically, because there's a moment where he turns around and Wilf has just vanished again. And you're like, was he even there? They did just have another sweat session.
He is, because he kind of gets arrested towards the end of the movie as well when they turn him back up. So I'm like, yeah, he's totally there. But I love Floyd Red Crow. I love the look he has, but I think at the same time the director had an idea of what he wanted to say. He just didn't fully understand how to say it, especially on such a low budget movie, you know, and you're just hoping that the performances of the characters are able to carry on. Like, didn't you say this was based on a book?
It's based on a novel, yeah.
On a novel, yeah. And the ending of the novel says one thing. And I kind of wish it had gone with that.
The film is unconclusive.
But then at the same time, it just seems also unfulfilling at the end of, you know, what came out.
I think what comes out at the other end is your perspective. Yeah. Whether it's been challenged or changed or you remain indifferent. My
perspective is, white man bad. And he always has been, and he probably always will be. I can say that because I'm ginger and Scottish, we're dead inside. But it's the idea as well as the movie gets on of, like you said, wanting Peter to stand up for himself. You know,
which he does.
Trying to say to the audience, you need to stand up and say and take
fight
action.
Injustices.
But in the world that we live in today, a lot of people have done that and caused violence and death and murder, which you're like, morally, that's not very right. But going off of that tangent, because you don't want to get too political, the ending of the movie is just so really, really well done, where Peter has been pushed to the breaking point. He wants to protect Ricketts now, you know, but he also wants to protect the Indian people. So he finally gets this confrontation with Arthur, and Arthur is kind of happy to have the confrontation too.
He almost welcomes it.
Yeah.
And he stabs him, and Arthur falls down.
Yeah.
And then Peter's got the gun on him, and he shoots, and the gun's empty. He's run out of ammo.
Yeah, because they had this great moment, like you said, where Arthur's taking Ricketts to look up at the scenery, and then Peter had kind of come up and snuck up to get Ricketts out. And then all of a sudden, boom, right there at the bottom of the hill was Arthur. And you're like, there's no way you would have got down there. Because they had to climb up that steep bit. Yeah, I got to give those 3 actors fucking kudos on that.
They took some tumbles as well.
Yeah, that's it. It wasn't like the camera cut and they got stuntmen in. They literally got pushed and kicked down this fucking hill. But yeah, they have this fight. He stabs Arthur. He pulls the gun. And then Arthur kind of just walks into the lake.
It kind of accepts, like, you've done it. You would have killed me if there was a bullet left in that gun. I am defeated. You've stood up to me and defeated me. You've fought back.
Or maybe, as you said, maybe, like you said, that Arthur was the embodiment of violence and aggression and anger. He wanted to stick it to Peter and be like, you did fuck all, mate.
Yeah,
you
did nothing.
You did fuck all. So I've created this whole situation, and then I'm going to fuck off.
Back to the water.
And you're going to have to deal with it all.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. The police do finally arrive. They find Ricketts. They find Peter. They bring him back. They're questioning, like, what about the third guy? And it's like, you'll never get him again. And now you're leaving this whole situation to be dealt with Ricketts and Peter.
Yeah. There is one other sort of addition to the ending as well. There's been another character that's
Yes,
been
the
peppered
little
throughout the film,
girl.
Polly, I think
Yes,
it was.
yes.
Who basically nabs his briefcase at the beginning.
Yes.
And is kind of running around throughout
She's
the film
fucking
with the
smoking.
case. She's smoking. The first thing she says, "You got a light?"
Yeah.
But yeah, we see her at points putting stuff in there, and when it falls out at the end, all this stuff falls out. It's none of Peter's stuff anymore. It's all of her belongings and collections and stuff. But she's wearing, I'm pretty sure she's wearing the same necklace that Arthur had.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
like, but Arthur just went in the water. Did she then pull it from the water? Did she already have his necklace? Is it the same thing? Is it a passing of the power? Is she
the
another
caller?
embodiment of the trickster?
Well, that's it. We don't know who Polly's parents are.
No.
Nobody really
Orphaned.
Nobody
I don't
really
know.
kind of interacts with her like that. I don't
No.
remember seeing like anybody telling her.
That's what I mean. There is like a thin veil of supernatural in the film, but
Yeah.
you could also say superstitious nonsense, and
Yeah,
that these are all
easily.
real people, real things happened.
Yeah.
And so it's just that's how. What I like about this film is that you can read it that way if you want to, and there's elements in the film to support that argument, which I found that fascinating. I really did. And so when the credits were rolling, I was like, oh, I just wanted 5 more minutes. Just wanted 5 more. I just wanted the police, but but you don't need it because you can decide whatever happens there. That's not really the story. The story did end with Arthur coming in, doing his thing, and going back again.
I was kind of the same. When I turned the movie off, I'm sat there like, for fuck's sake, movie. Now I've got to fucking make up my own mind on Howard. And the whole time I was like, I'm like, I'm totally going to fucking get told off by Gareth for this because he's not going to see it from my fucking point of view. But then as the days went on and I was thinking about the movie, I actually found myself, I wasn't able to talk to people about the movie.
No one I know has ever seen this.
Yeah, but it's, where normally somebody will say to you like, oh, if you watched anything nice, you want to tell them. But, I had been asked that question, but I didn't tell them about this movie because I'm like, you're not the person that will understand or want to talk about political views or like understand, or see it from a supernatural point of view. This movie is very rare, and it's very good, but I think it's very good because not so many people have seen it. If all of a sudden we get an influx of everybody wanting to see this movie and to understand it, you're going to get such a confuddled viewpoints.
Oh yeah, it's not a mainstream movie.
That it will just make even more arguments and violence.
Oh no. Well, yeah, what were your favourite moments of violence and anger? I mean, favourite scenes?
I don't know. Like I didn't even really mark them down, but I have them fresh in my head. Like, I like the Sweat Lodge moment at the beginning with Floyd Red Crow, and Peter sitting there, and Peter obviously having his vision, and it feeling like this is kind of the birthplace of Arthur, but you'd already really seen Arthur before and things like that. So it's just like, how do you want to interpret that? I love the boat sequence between Peter and Arthur. Love the hotel sequence where Arthur turned up. Once they kidnap Ricketts and they're out on the boat. I love the moment where, as they're going to a point, Ricketts is, on his own, and Peter and Arthur are kind of together, but Arthur's giving Peter shit. And then they have this moment on the island, and they get onto the boat and they have to go somewhere else. But it flips, where now Ricketts is kind of cuddled up to Arthur, and he's fucking belittling Peter, complaining at him like, ha, yeah, you thought you were the good guy, but you're not, you're just an asshole, just like me. And I was like, Michael Hogan, you're fucking brilliant. I love the hill sequence. I thought that was just really, really just well. 3 actors, like, the director's like, I need you to climb up this hill and maybe roll back down again. Yeah, all right, then. And that's when they did it. I love the moment where he confronted Bud and he's just like, what do you see? And you see the mountains and the rivers and the trees and you're like, oh my God, land is beautiful. And to Bud, it's money.
Yeah. Just like the pilot at the beginning of the film said when they're flying over the decimated forest.
Yeah. It's a shame, really, but at the same time, like, industrialists, there's a fine line. There's always been a fine line between the people who want to live off the grid and the people who want to live on the grid. The grid has to exist, and so things have to be destroyed so that things can be made. It's just human life, I suppose. I love the fight sequence at the end. And yeah, even though I would have preferred kind of the book ending where they go, oh, actually, it was Peter this whole time. Arthur never existed. I do like this ending where they go, who's the third guy? And all of them are like you'll never find him, because Wilf, Bud, and Peter have all kind of come to the silent understanding that Arthur was this spirit of rage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few memorable moments and standout moments in the film. And one of the first ones is actually what made me laugh. Like, it broke the tension a little bit.
Yeah.
And when they're both in the boat and he says something and then he turns to him and says, well, we're both in the same boat. Yeah. And I was like, oh, you're actually in a boat. So I actually laughed because I think I needed a bit of a tension breaker.
Yes.
Because the music to the film has also been pretty ominous as well. It's sort of this thing, this dread that's building up.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you've also got a load of like the Native American song as well.
Yeah.
Which is it's just beautiful to listen to, and it just brings you into that world just a little bit more. You already mentioned it again, the hotel neighbors being too loud. And then Arthur going in there and just taping them all up. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah, and that's when he pulled out that club, you're like, okay, this escalated to dangerous levels now, where you're not sure how far he's willing to go. So that was a pivotal moment in the film as well.
You've got to ask as well where a spirit of vengeance would pick up masking tape. Did he go to the hardware store? Did he just nick it?
I think
Did he bring it from the other
he brought it with him. He knew he was going to need it. Again, another moment on the boat where he's just like, you think you know me? You don't know me. You think you know what I am, but you do not know me. And the way he delivers it, the reaction, I was like, that's great. That's cutting. That's the cut right through, right there.
Yeah.
I liked it. And it's the line that Wilf says as well, like, you dreamed anger. Your anger is real.
Yeah.
That's his actual words. And I was like, well, yeah, now Arthur is real.
Yeah.
So that's where, like,
That's
it. The moment I sort of latched onto that element of the film.
I think that's what the film should have, like I said, made Arthur Peter's rage.
Yeah.
You know, trying to make it part Peter, part the indigenous people, and then part an independent spirit doing its own thing. I'm like, need one anchor, not multiple fucking anchors.
No, spread that ambiguity across the whole film. I love it. And I gotta say, like, the midpoint to the end, it's almost like a different film.
Yes.
Where you think it's about trying to protect this plot of land from the white man who's taking it all apart, to it actually becoming a kidnapping survival movie for the second half.
Yeah.
Where your sort of allegiances to the characters change through your perspective of them.
Yeah.
So I found that really quite challenging and rewarding and engaging. That immerses you into the film more. So because you don't really know who you're rooting for, but
no,
you also don't know how it's going to play out. So yeah, it was a nice sort of twist into the film becoming much more of a thriller than it was the drama. Iain, do you recommend Clearcut?
I totally recommend Clearcut. Man, politics, it's difficult. You know, you have a position, you want to support some things, and ultimately, you know, damages something else, and you're trying to be the good guy, but then ultimately, are you secretly the bad guy? I don't know, but Graham Greene is absolutely phenomenal. And giving him, like, I can't name many other films where he's kind of the lead. And even though he's not really the lead, the moment he turns up and he starts taking control of Peter and his position and he kidnaps Bud, he's the guy. He fucking holds the movie all the way to the end, and it will make you question everything. Like Gary said, there's lots of ambiguity in the entire movie, and you could have discussions with your friends after, or arguments of your position. It will change your view and all that kind of stuff. It's a rare film. I don't even remember seeing this in a fucking video store. I don't know anybody who even owns it or has even ever seen it, but I can ultimately say I'm glad I've seen it now.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm also definitely recommending Clearcut. It's certainly a must-watch for its provocative exploration of environmental destruction and expansion into native lands and the conflicts that ensue. It's a very well-crafted thriller that also evokes a sense of moral ambiguity as you question the actions of the three leads as the story plays out. The performances are all brilliant, with Graham Greene being the standout as Arthur, who challenges what you think you know with suppressed anger and rage, with the air of a trickster spirit forcing you to confront your own failings. Great characters. They're complex and relatable and nuanced. The soundtrack by Shane Harvey complements the film well, adding an encroaching, dreadful feeling as the slow burn starts to boil. It's very haunting, as is the film's climax. So yeah, I'm saying this is a must-watch. It's very engrossing with a solid script, beautiful locations, and great performances, and a story that remains relevant today. The violence has begun. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.